Well, I mean, we'll see if anybody actually comes in, but I'm just gonna be on here commenting on. Apparently, Portland, Oregon is having some kind of anti-Trump debate. I guess the city of Portland. I'm not sure exactly. We'll find out.
Thanks, babe.
Let's see. Comments are turned off. There's merch. Destiny is doing this. Is holding this.
We'll be dropping the San Francisco video. It just finished uploading on the Pangburn YouTube channel. We'll be dropping that tomorrow morning. How
Oh,
about
yeah.
Vosh? Any Vosh fans
We're
there?
just waiting. For
Someone
it to
said
happen.
sure. How about Destiny? That was, come on. How about Destiny? Okay, now we're awake. That got me charged up.
Let's see what. Let's see what Fox News has to say about Scotland. See if there's news. Standing on my own. Forgetting.
Your streaming? We have the designs to make your stream look awesome. Owned.tv is the largest streamer.
Cloture motion.
Okay, a lot of things breaking right now. So obviously a hot moment on the Senate floor and another vote to come on the shutdown. Now we swing over to Illinois, where the governor, Pritzker, is speaking out about President Trump deploying the National Guard to his state. Listen.
Troops marching in their streets. When it comes to public safety, they want civilian law enforcement when they need them, and jobs, and after-school programs for kids in the neighborhoods. They do not want Donald Trump to occupy their communities. Then the Trump invasion began. Since ICE and CBP announced their operations on September 8th, our people have been subjected to violence, intimidation, and harassment. They have struck fear in our communities, including notably fear in the hearts of U.S. citizens. Trump and the thuggery that his agents have brought has actively made us less safe. Less than a week later, on September 12th, ICE shot and killed a man in Franklin Park, a nearby suburb of Chicago. His name was Silverio Villegas Gonzalez. Reports say that he had just dropped his kids off at daycare and was headed to work. Shortly after that incident, ICE issued a statement justifying the killing, saying that the federal agent was seriously injured, sustained multiple injuries, and was dragged a significant distance. Immediately, we were left with more questions than answers. And frankly, the story just didn't add up. I demanded a full accounting into the facts of the situation. The community was rightfully distraught. Even Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum demanded answers. The facts are coming out, and they are raising even more questions. The Chicago Sun-Times obtained body camera footage from Franklin Park PD.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
I wanted to see what they're saying about this. White House News, Hamas peace deal, Portland arrest, top stories, live
suing to try and stop it from happening. It is the latest legal battle as the Trump administration works to send more troops into more American cities. And in some places, the confrontations are turning violent. Authorities looking for the driver of this truck take a close look that was caught on camera ramming into ICE agents. And this just in, the DOJ arresting an alleged Chicago street gang member they say was part of a murder-for-hire plot to kill a top immigration officer who our Chicago station reports was a Border Patrol commander there. President Trump now saying he'd consider invoking the Insurrection Act, quote, if it was necessary. That's a law that allows the president to deploy U.S. military forces or National Guard troops to put down an insurrection in the U.S. Maggie Vespa is in.
So my guess, like, here's my hunch. My hunch is that we Trump this entire time has been testing to see if he can actually like get away with getting people or getting the military, just like, it doesn't matter if they're doing anything. He just wants to see how far he can poke governors and poke states and to see exactly how weak they are, like what their ability to deter him is. And I mean, okay, so as I was saying,
In Chicago, she leads us off tonight.
With protests over immigration raids escalating in Chicago, tonight federal prosecutors charging an alleged gang member with soliciting the murder of an unnamed senior law enforcement official taking part in immigration enforcement there, saying Juan Espinoza Martinez posted in Snapchat, $10K if you take him down. Authorities tonight also searching for the driver of this black SUV that the Department of Homeland Security says repeatedly rammed into ICE agents in the white truck. While at a separate event, police appearing to be tear-gassed, though not injured, all as President Trump faces new legal battles in his efforts to deploy National Guard troops to 2 more cities.
Donald Trump's deranged depiction of Chicago as a hellhole was just complete BS.
After a federal judge blocked the president from deploying Oregon's National Guard to Portland, where protests against ICE have been escalating. Tonight, Chicago and the state of Illinois suing to try and prevent President Trump's deployment of troops there.
There was never an insurrection or an invasion on the ground that justified the deployment of the military to our American city.
Though tonight, the president saying he'd consider invoking the Insurrection Act.
this is insane. It's just like, why are we gotta call it what it is in terms of if we're invoking the Insurrection Act for people who are not necessarily like you can technically you can get away with doing it for illegal immigrants, but you can't really get away for doing it with their kids that were born in America. Those are still dreamers. Those are still people who are able to be here constitutionally. And so to use the Insurrection Act, it's like, what is the Insurrection Act? What is it? Let's find out together, because I don't know what it says. I don't know what it does. What is the Insurrection Act? The Insurrection Act of 1807 is the U.S. federal law that empowers the President of the United States to nationally deploy the U.S. military and to federalize the National Guard units of the individual states in specific circumstances such as the suppression of civil disorder or insurrection and of armed rebellion. So constitutionally, we're allowed to rebel against false governments or dictators, but constitutionally, the government is also allowed to stop that from happening. Um, but it doesn't say anywhere where the in the Constitution it says like what to do when the federal government is the reason why people are rebelling or openly being disorderly. I mean, I'm not okay. So the Devil Game 666 ICE is a federal agency and has a job to do. Let them do their job. It's that black and white simple. It would allow him to override the court's decisions based on national security. I mean, yeah, I mean, the power of the presidency has always been implied for all of those powers that aren't specifically named in the Constitution. And yes, ICE is a federal agency, and so they have a federal job to do. Um, but that's still not an argument against detaining, deporting, and getting rid of or sending constitutionally legal citizens to I don't know other places, other like fucking Seacot or wherever where they've never been before. Um, and it's like people knew. I mean, I'm sure the founders knew that like if they put the word um well, I forget what it is. Hang on. I think it's the 14th Amendment. And I'm not arguing. I mean, I am arguing. I don't know how to spell shit. Amendment. 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, is a foundational part of the U.S. Constitution that defines citizenship, guarantees due process of law, ensures equal protection under the law, and prohibits states from. Yeah, I know all that. I just want to read it. All persons like they knew what they were doing when they put that in the Constitution. They didn't put citizen. All persons born or naturalized in the United States. So anybody who's been born here, and it doesn't matter if your parent was born here or not. If you're born here, you're an American. I was born here. I'm an American. You were born here. You're an American. Um, or naturalized. So anyone who goes through the legal process of becoming an American are also Americans, and then that leaves that third party of illegal immigrants who are not Americans or not citizens, but their children are. To me, it feels the left wing holds a double standard over America. We have to be more accepting of illegal immigration than other nations, or we can't have as strict of borders as others. Japan, West Africa, South Korea, Italy all have strict borders to the level Trump wants. That's why I feel there is a double standard. Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm sure there's some truth to that. I'm not denying that. There is America does have to have a strict um, policy, but I mean, it's not always strict. Is the thing. It's like for the last 60 years, we've been openly and not just Democratic administrations, but Republican administrations, all of them have been doing it under the table to just like bring Mexican and Nicaraguan and all of these Southern American people over here to work for cents on the dollar. I worked for a very short time, but I worked as a store leader for a aquatics store, like a fish store, and they had a maintenance manager. I won't say his name. We'll call him Bob, um, who only hired illegal immigrants. And he hired them so that when they would get hurt, I was told a story by one of the employees there that one time they were redoing some trim outside and redoing the gutters and stuff, and one of the workers fell and got hurt, and was like seriously bad hurt, like needed to go to the hospital, so on and so forth. And the worker said that they loaded the guy into a van and left, and then didn't call an ambulance, didn't do anything. Loaded the guy into the van, left, and he never saw or heard from that guy again. And it's because they shipped his ass back to Mexico so he wouldn't have to, or whatever, or let him go or whatever, so they wouldn't have to pay any kind of hospital bills or be sued because these people aren't legally working for this company. They're working under the table. So there's a bunch of sketchy shit that America does as a country to like get that cheap labor over here, and then we use the immigrants as a scapegoat when they stay here illegally. Because I mean, yeah, a lot of people cross the border, but a lot of people also just overstay their visas, you know? So it's like, yeah, we're supposed to be harder in terms of there's a double standard in terms of our border. And people are like, you can either be a hard ass about it or you can either be a soft about it. Um, but like there's a middle ground there. You know, you can be a hard ass at the physical border, and you can keep fentanyl and drugs out of the border and keep dangerous people out of the border. And then you can also like figure out a way to make the right people, or like let the right people in. You know, it's not difficult. It's just that both sides are either stuck on one side of the spectrum, and it's weird that we can't find some kind of like, hey, yeah, it's okay to let people into America. We're not going to become China or South Korea, because South Korea's border is strong, is, fucking souped up and crazy because they are at war with the person that's on the north of them. China is China. They literally have a great wall and to keep out to their enemies that spans their entire country. Like you just like these countries have been at war and have been getting their asses handed to them for centuries. Well, and vice versa. They've been fighting and killing and conquering and so on and so forth for centuries as well. America has had Canada and Mexico as a direct neighbor. We were at war with Mexico like once or something, twice maybe. Um, and then we bought a bunch of land from them, and that was that. I don't know anything about Japan's borders, I'm not gonna lie. But Japan is in open conflict with North Korea and China. So it's like, I mean, I imagine, and that entire region is um a melting pot, and so I imagine there is a pretty strict border policy for most of those surrounding countries and areas. I mean, I'm sure on the Chinese coast, you know, Mongolia, whatever. Japan, West Africa, South Korea, Italy all have strict borders to the level Trump wants. That's why I feel there is a double standard. Also, if you really look at his policy and then watch a Bill Clinton or Obama in the early 2000s, Trump just carries early 2000s. Well, I mean, Trump deports in terms of policies. Yeah, he deports more, or he deported less in his first term than Obama did. Period. Like that's just facts. Everyone knows that shit. And then I don't think we need to read this anymore. We're good. And then in his second term, him and Stephen Miller are gunning for like 1 million per year. I don't remember exactly. I think it was 1 million per year. And they've run out of criminals, so they're just deporting people, and their entire case is that these people are illegal and they're dangerous and so on and so forth. Which the illegal part may be true, but that doesn't make them dangerous. And if they're illegal, then okay. Do we have to spend resources to ship them back? Taxpayer money to ship them back and then come back, and then us just keep paying for them to keep getting shipped back and so on and so forth, as it has been for fucking time eternal? Or do we have some kind of middle ground where you can, and I know this has been talked about before, I know it's been pushed all weird, and this is different, like democratic versions of this have been offered, so I don't really know. But yeah, it's just maybe there's something in between fucking um Gator Alcatraz and SWAT vans and helicopters showing up at an apartment complex, um and citizenship, like there has to be some kind of fucking not easy, but probably not as hard as this shit, you know? Anyway, I'll stop talking. I don't know shit.
I'd do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary. We have to make sure that our cities are safe.
As the White House blasts Democratic officials, noting there were 4 homicides and 29 people shot in Chicago this weekend.
Why should they be concerned about the federal government offering help to make their cities a safer place? They should be concerned about the fact that people in their cities right now are being gunned down every single night. And the president, all he's trying to do is fix it.
And, regardless of what you agree with or what we're arguing, I'm always gonna show what's happening, and I'm not gonna I'm not gonna pretend to know shit I don't know. So there's that, because I don't know a lot. We're just fucking learning together. Um, but it's growing tensions over Trump's illegal immigration crackdown. I know you can scream NBC or whatever all day long, but its tensions are growing. If it's among immigrants, if it's among other people, you don't know. It's among a bunch of different people. I mean, you see YouTubers out there, you see immigrants, you see dreamers, you see white people, you see black people, you see all kinds of people, because it's just a mix of different people. You got black people marrying Hispanic people, you got white people marrying Hispanic people, so it touches a bunch of different aspects of people's lives. So yeah, tensions are a little high. And I mean, it's was that super necessary just to get 1 million undocumented people out?
Cook County Commissioner Sean Morrison supports President Trump's move.
We've had federal agents attacked.
I'm not saying it doesn't need to happen. I'm saying it could, if it does need to happen, it could be happening better.
And unfortunately, they've had to push back.
But the governor saying ICE is the one escalating tensions, pointing to this dramatic DHS video of a recent late-night raid saying children were zip-tied, which the agency denies.
Having more federal agents on the streets in full military gear is not necessary.
Okay, so I don't know how true all of this is.
Necessarily going to create calm.
All right, Maggie joins us now live outside an ICE detention facility near Chicago. And Maggie, I know you have new reporting about who is being targeted in this alleged murder for hire plot you reported on.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. According to our Chicago affiliate, WMAQ, it's U.S. Border Patrol Commander at Large Gregory Bavino. In the meantime, attorneys in court today tied to that lawsuit said National Guard troops could be, in their words, in position in Chicago as early as tomorrow. Tom.
All right, Maggie Vespa from Chicago as the rain is.
So, we're literally watching a fucking, National Guard troops go into American cities to do fucking what exactly? I mean, the ones in Washington were just standing there. Okay, you can't find proof that they're actually going and doing all these crazy criminal raids and shit like that. They might find a few, but it's for it's nothing the police can't handle. It's crazy that we spend millions, if not billions of dollars on amping up the police security year upon year upon year, even though crime has gone down year over year. And it's just overall we still need the National Guard to help with crime in Washington fucking DC. The safest place, because it's where all of them fucking live or go to. You don't think the place where all of the fucking money and all of the fucking power isn't the safest fucking place. I used to go to, when I went into school, I've started in business and I moved over to politics, but when I started in school, my business professor talked about visiting the Capitol in Washington. and he said that it was built in a way to make it seem powerful. To like when you stand there, you stand and you know you're standing amongst the most powerful people on the planet. And so you don't need an army to stop crime there. The seat of the most powerful nation on the planet. It's a ridiculous thought, and having a military parade is a ridiculous thought. It's just showing America shows power not with its words, but with its actions, and a lot of time with its ability to not act in certain situations. But the American president has the most influence in the world. We don't need to do this.
Coming down tonight. And we have new charges now against former NFL star and Fox Sports analyst Mark Sanchez. Indianapolis police now charging the veteran quarterback with a felony, accusing him of assaulting a delivery driver while intoxicated. Stephanie Gosk is in Indianapolis.
Sorry, I forgot what we were doing here. That is not it.
Deneve Estrada in the house.
Again, because of other moral positions I might hold that might have some more relevance.
Hang on.
If you so,
let me get into where it actually.
I guess on a broader level, do you feel like there is?
Okay, so they've been debating for a minute. Holy shit. Okay.
Your hands together for Zachary. He's going to be our first. Right?
So this is Destiny. He's a left-wing. Fuck if I know. I'm just now starting, so I don't exactly know what he is.
I'm terrible with that. Zachary. Okay.
Excellent. But he's left. That's all I know.
Yeah, so we've been traveling around the country doing this anti-Trump debate tour. Hopefully you guys have been watching the video content. Have you been enjoying the content? Yeah? Right on. I just think this is so important to be discussing these ideas in a good faith, helpful way. I'm sick and tired of McDonald's political philosophy all over the fucking internet. I have no interest in it. I want political realism. I want real people having real discussions. It's amazing how much something like this humanizes people. I think we have the opposite effect of what some of the YouTube algorithm and other things do to dehumanize people and to radicalize others. So what I always hope to see on this stage is a good faith, helpful dialectic, a political dialectic. That doesn't mean it can't be passionate, but I think it's important. I think it gives us the best chance to bear fruit out of our conversations.
How many of you guys have like conservative friends? Where the fuck are they? Why didn't you get them to sign up for this? What the fuck?
They're too scared, right?
I heard too scared. I heard didn't feel like the conversation was what? Okay. He doesn't want to put up with his conservative friends for the evening. Okay. All of your conservative friends, none of them wanted to sign up to fight? I mean, have a discussion? Sorry.
All right. Well, why don't we start with Zachary? Yeah, come on up. Everyone put your hands together for Zachary. He's going to be our first debater tonight. Keep it going. It takes a while to walk up here. So since you're first, you're going to be holding the microphone nice and close to the mic.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's up? How's it going?
So, under Trump's immigration zero tolerance policy in 2018, over 5,000 children were stripped away from their parents. And according to a Yale Human Rights Report, between 2017 and 2021, more than 4,600 were stripped away, and 1,360 were never reunited with their parents. But I have a question more broadly regarding the concept of, what morally relevant distinction do you make between yourself and Trump when you can't name the trait between mother cows and calves and migrant mothers and children who are stripped away when 9.5 million are stripped away each year in the U.S. alone?
What?
Well, I think the moral difference is there's probably different.
According to a Yale Human Rights Report, between 2017 and 2021, more than 4,600 were stripped away, and 1,360 were never reunited with their parents. But I have a question more broadly regarding the concept of, what morally relevant distinction do you make between yourself and Trump when you
Howdy.
can't name the trait between mother cows and calves and migrant mothers and children who are stripped away when 9.5 million are stripped away each
I
year
guess
in the US
I'm
alone?
higher and dumb, or I don't
Well,
really
think
get the question.
moral
Whatever.
difference is there's probably different categories between like humans and animals
I
and
haven't
other
watched this
humans.
one
So
yet.
you could be
But
okay
man,
with one
Gibbs
and
on
not
the
the other, and
last
it'd be a
one.
different thing, even
What
if you
are
think that they
you
should all be morally
fucking
like condemnable. Like
talking
Christians.
about?
Wait,
Are you
but
comparing me to
That's
some?
that's actually naming something similar that I believe I would expect out of
Who is
Trump,
this
right? Because he would try to
fool?
say that even though children and mothers are being separated from one another, there's some trait regarding them that he finds to be acceptable that everyone else
I
doesn't see
honestly,
is
okay, look,
acceptable.
I'm not gonna lie. The only clips I've seen of Destiny, are just like, it's like this. I watched Destiny or saw Destiny the same way I saw Charlie Kirk. He just kind of like popped up sometimes, and I would like see a clip here or tidbit there and be like, oh, he owned or he got owned or whatever, and then that was pretty much it. So I have to find the energy to start watching these people because they're very opinionated and they don't fucking budge, and so I gotta, you know, but I'll figure it out. I have to.
I mean, it just seems like if we were
'Cause
to
here
go
I am.
back in the 1850s and I were to ask a slave owner, hey, if your consciousness was uploaded into the experience of this black person, he would just reiterate the same sort of point that you mentioned, that there's differences between the white and the black individual, and instead of actually naming the trait or set of traits. So, I mean,
Do you think? I mean, like,
As
do you
a
think that?
that's
Do
just
you think a human
actually
life and an animal life
respect,
are
big dog.
exchange?
Look, I'm not gonna lie. All the clips I've seen of him he's very confident and he seems very knowledgeable. And I mean, watching these streams of me, I'm gonna sound like a fucking dumbass. I'm gonna sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna support positions that are later gonna age very badly. But I'm learning. Everyone's learning. That's the point of this fucking stream. The point of this stream is to be an idiot together. So that's what I'm doing.
Like have the same moral consideration, like from one to the other?
you mean morally equal?
Yeah.
You often equate moral sufficiency and moral equality, and that brings up a really good question, because it's quite obvious, as you've said many times before, that no intelligent vegan position would actually equate the two. There would be some sort of
I
hierarchy, like
thought
the cosmic
I was
skeptic.
like, okay.
And so
For a second in my head, I was like, why are we talking about cows and calves? We are arguing vegan positions, or at least talking about vegan positions right now at this point. And now I'm a little behind on the live stream, but that's fine.
I think this actually exposes my point yet further, because if about 70 million would have been stripped away between animals between that time, and there would have been about 5,000 children. I mean,
Definitely
that's
look
about a
into him.
difference
He actually
of,
does
you know,
research.
What is it? 70,000
unlink
times. I mean, or 7,000
the
times.
Turk roach,
Is,
unlike the Turk
is
roach,
it
like
really
the young
case
Turks.
that the moral value
Oh,
of
you're
animals
talking about
isn't even
Hassan.
to a sufficient level
I
of
got you.
consideration, even though 7 million,
Okay,
70
I'll look
million
into
would
it.
have been stripped
I
away
know they're
between
at
that
like
time, and only 5.
they're on like a beef, aren't they? Or I mean, I know Hassan mentions Destiny often and plays Destiny's clips often. So like, but I don't know if they like don't agree with each other, or they don't know if they debate each other or not. I don't know what that shit's all about.
1,000 for children?
I mean, I think you can have hierarchies within buckets. So, like, we could say that, you know, we wouldn't necessarily say that we put one moral.
I'm not new to. Okay. I'm my I say major, but I'm one class away from getting my degree. But I'm a political science is my field of study. So I understand the systems of politics, and I understand positions of politics, and I understand how power works and how the dynamics of everything under the Constitution. So like, yeah, I'm not new. It's pop culture politics that I'm new to. It's learning whose opinions are being listened to. It's learning what's happening in real time and how to talk about it. It's learning how to get involved, and I'm already kind of getting involved publicly. I live in Houston. I've gone to a couple of city hall meetings, stuff like that. So it's just I'm learning how to be online with it all instead of just doom scrolling on my phone or writing bullshit opinions on Facebook or some. Yeah, no, I know. You're good. I mean, even everyone's welcome. Everyone's going to be welcome here. So, like, Republican, fascists, anarchists, whatever, you're here, you're talking. That's the discourse. So, and what do you mean by like four-sided war? What does that mean? Various conflicts with four principles, blah, 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 blah. Any wars fought between more than two sides? This is not getting me anywhere. Current? If you're talking about like Russia, Ukraine, China, all that, or are you talking about like domestically? Because, yeah, I'm not going to get anywhere with that. I don't really need to see that anymore.
Like
Fuck
one
this
human life would go in a different
debate.
moral bucket than another human life. But like if we were comparing two humans, to some extent we have to make some of these calls when it comes to, say, organ transplants, right? If you could transplant a new heart into a 90-year-old patient versus like a 20-year-old patient.
Where's the moral dilemma? You could value both. You could denounce both. It's not like you have to choose between the
Yeah, but we're
animals
not
and the
talking
human
about
children.
that. So the thing that you're hitting me with is you're saying, what's the difference morally between you and Trump if you're condemning Trump for separating human babies and
The
human
morally
adults?
relevant distinction, not just the difference.
Well, sure. Well, I mean, I think it's a morally relevant distinction that that I would protect greater classes of humans than he would, even if neither of us would protect, I guess,
If you
animal
can
life.
value both, then
Wait. Oh, well, buddy, I told you I'm new. So I don't know how to fix that. Chat filters off, screen reader, auto announce, chat appearance, emote attribution. It's the auto auto mod. Oh, I can't turn off auto mod? Okay. Well, that is lame. I am just now realizing that this motherfucker, and I guess kudos to Destiny for taking it seriously because I would be laughing right now. I guess this motherfucker is trying to debate the separation of calves and animals from their parents with the separation of humans from their parents, and that it's kind of distressing in the same way, which, okay, sure. But okay, I'm not sure if they brought up UBI yet, but I know that they're talking about veganism, and I hear that he's like, "How are you any different from Trump if you're okay with like separating animals?" So a vegan signed up to debate, essentially, and an animal activist signed up to debate, and it's just like to me, that's just a weak ass argument because who gives a fuck? Like, sure, okay, maybe if they are, maybe cows and shit are distressed right now, and are, if they're being taken away from their mothers, but like, horses aren't really being kept in concentration camps. Okay, they're being trained and fed, and they live their lives out, and whatever. I don't know, but who cares? It's not comparable to a human, in my opinion. We should be talking about more important shit, and we're not going to solve that problem anyway. If it is the truth, if animals are that distressed about it, that problem's not getting solved anytime soon. So to the bottom of the fucking list.
then what do you mean greater? What's the relevance of that?
Well, you're drawing a larger circle around what should be protected than what I would draw. I would draw a smaller circle, and then Trump would draw an even smaller circle still, so that would be the difference, right?
What do you mean smaller circle? The
As
arbitrarity
in, my
within
circle
the
would include
concept of-
immigrants, and his circle doesn't include immigrants. So mine is larger and his is smaller.
Yeah,
But you're
it
saying,
makes no
well, why
fucking
is it
sense
that
to
if
me.
your
You mean the
circle-
net amount of total beings, right?
Well, we're talking about categories of people, but sure.
Is that a yes? Because you said smaller circle.
No, net implies number. I'm talking categories of things. Like I'm talking about different
He's
categories.
just trying to
of
get
things.
him in
So
tiny
what do you
little
mean by
gotchas.
the larger and smaller circle?
The larger circle would include a greater number of categories of things that I would protect in terms of life. than
Right,
Trump's.
which effectively means the total number of beings, right?
Not necessarily, no.
So then what do you mean?
There's a difference between a category and a thing itself, right? Like a category could have a million things.
What's the category
so somebody
that's
could protect
encapsulate?
10 categories, and each category could have one thing, and another guy could protect one category with a million things. But
No offense, but this all sounds like jargon, right? Because if I was asking someone
Hold on,
again
wait,
who's
wait,
a slave
wait.
owner, if I ask someone
this
who's a
is
slave
not-
owner,
hold on,
what
this
does
is
it
not-
exclude?
This is not jargon. I'm being pretty precise with my language. I'm saying that I would draw a bigger circle around the categories of things, not necessarily the individual numbers of people in those things or the individual numbers of things in those categories. I'm saying there are certain categories that I care about, like the separation of immigrant children from immigrant parents, and Trump doesn't seem to care about that. So I would have apparently I'm casting a wider net in terms of categories.
That's
there.
exactly what Trump would say. He would just make a point that he at least cares about a larger number of beings than some other dictator who cares about less, like Xi Jinping or Putin or, North Korean dictator.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
that
I
might
guess
be
he's not
true,
wrong.
right? I don't know if I would fight if Trump were to say, well,
so
I'm
then
not,
it's not a morally relevant distinction then, is it?
well, the
because you
distinction we're
drew a
trying to draw
line
is
that
between me and Trump. There might be a morally relevant distinction between like Trump and Hitler. I would acknowledge that.
No. But the morally relevant
I mean, the
distinction
thing
that
is that
I'm
we don't
asking
even
you
have to
was-
acknowledge it because it's happening, and I'm still trying to figure out what the fucking argument is. Like, I guess he's trying to draw a distinction between Destiny and Trump by comparing them to separating. I don't really know at what point Destiny said he was okay with the separation of animals from their parents. But yeah, who cares?
with regards to the separation of mothers and children. And if
I love
you
that
effectively
Trump
say
is
the
just
same
like
thing, that there's
mean
someone out
mugging
there
us
who's
the
worse than
whole
him,
time
that
too,
doesn't
like from behind.
justify the question
That
that's
was
being
on
posed.
purpose.
Yeah, but we're not justifying anything. You just asked for a distinction. You
A
can have
morally
distinct-
relevant distinction.
You can have a morally relevant distinction between two things, but both things are still bad. There's a difference between assaulting someone
Well,
and
then it
murdering
sounds
someone.
like you're assuming then. So do you want to ask what a morally relevant distinction would be defined as, instead of just taking it to mean something that can be posed to the agent themselves?
Not if he
Okay,
doesn't
I
accept
guess
the
what do you-
premise
when
to
you say
begin with.
morally relevant
No.
distinction, what do you mean by
The
that?
same exact way that Isaac would have posed it to you.
But this
Gaines
is a
would have posed
debate,
it to you
so I
just by
guess
you know,
That's
to-
going
not
to your
telling me
echo chamber
anything.
on
I'm
the
asking
stream.
you what do you mean when you say that?
Yeah, so I was trying to finish my sentence. So the same thing that would be meant, which is to your own view. Do you think that you avoid the logical consequences behind
stand
the-
people like this.
The thing it is that you're justifying? That would be.
How
so
can
you
I
na-
avoid
you
the
named trait
logical
being human.
consequences behind the thing that you have to own the consequences of the thing you're justifying? No.
But what you mean, like admit that you hold the position?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
You
yeah.
just admit
I would hope you're not being dishonest.
Okay.
Have
so
a
what is the-
justification for
Well, I
the
mean,
position you
it's
hold.
your view, right? So you
Because
said
you
that
hold
trait was
it.
being
Like if
human,
I'm
that-
arguing, and this has happened to me before, if I am arguing with somebody and I'm trying to dissuade them from a position that I feel is wrong, and I am successful in presenting the evidence that dissuades them from that position, but instead of accepting the evidence, they just go, "Well, that's just what I believe," and I walk away. Then like that's not a justification for your belief. That is, it's just I have faith in what I believe because it's too hard to figure out what else to believe or like what's the truth. But that's what it takes these days. I fucking hate being on this shit, but like we got 3 years and I don't know, nobody knows. You know, you can't walk up to somebody right now and be like, "Do you know what's going to happen in 2028? Do you know what it's going to be like after, after January in 2028?" And no one can give you a straight answer. No one can be like, "It's going to be amazing. It's going to be normal. It's going to be fucking weird. Something's going to happen. I don't know what." And so I'm here to just like be an idiot online and have really stupid opinions and I guess look at vegans, try to compare people to cows. Because here's where we fucking are.
was the trait that made it morally acceptable to strip mothers and children away in one context and not the other, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
But
so
but now we're talking about like how I'm protecting things. Before, the thing that you premised this on was that Trump's
I'm gonna
distinctions
fix this
were
automod situation.
his distinction between immigrants
Give
and
me 2
non-immigrants.
seconds,
I
y'all
can't
watch.
criticize that because I don't draw a distinction between
No, not that you
humans and
can't.
non-humans.
Not that you can't. That it would be a morally relevant distinction, and it would be very funny
When, it, can
to
you
say.
when you say morally relevant, what do you mean when you say that?
So yeah, I'll say it again. That the logical consequences of the view, right, morally relevant, would be a large distinction. I'm not saying it's the case that cows don't have hooves.
No,
or
wait, I just define that thing.
a
I don't
cocktail.
understand what that means. Morally relevant. What do you mean a morally relevant distinction?
A morally relevant distinction would be something that makes a difference of consideration to a large enough degree that it would move you from one position versus the other.
Okay, so it has to be something that it's like a binary, like, or it's like a categorically different thing. So like, there's no morally relevant difference between assaulting someone and murdering someone to you. They're both just wrong, right?
Assaulting someone and murdering someone. No, there's hierarchies to these concepts, of course.
Well, okay, so then I don't understand. Then it feels like that saves my argument from your morally
No.
relevant distinction.
Having a hierarchy doesn't mean that you're not excluding beings from having protection with regards to their right to life and basic autonomy, simply because of what you just mentioned was a species, right? If my gene detector just went off and found out that Destiny is actually not the species of what you are, which is human, is it okay to kill and eat you by your own logic?
Well, I don't know. That's a whole separate argument. We're
You
talking
don't
about whether or
know?
not we're talking. Well, that's a
Wait,
totally
but if that,
separate.
hold on.
You're jumping.
But if it's
you're
your view,
jumping,
wait,
you're-
Dustin,
hold on,
if it's
hold
your
on.
view,
I'm not going to answer whatever question you say because you're jumping topics completely. The initial question was whether or not I would be able to essentially to criticize Donald Trump's position if it would be hypocritical of me to do so
You
because I'm not
can
vegan.
justify it, but the question is if you can justify it to any meaningful degree to which your audience would say, oh, wow, that's something that makes a difference. When Frederick Douglass gave his speech on the 5th of July in 1852, he talked about the very core foundation of name the trade. The same underlying logic that said not what difference is there, but he essentially pointed to a trivial difference. Or Elizabeth Stanton, who asked, the same prejudice that allowed for color, allowed for sex.
It says you are turning Automod off. However, some messages may still be withheld from chat as some words are never allowed on Twitch. So don't call me a fag because they probably won't let you do that or something. Here we go. Or do just to see if it's working. How about that? Wait, let me go back to my. I need to go back to my stream. I can't see anything. There we go. All right, say something mean.
It's just these trivial differences. So I think that democracy was built off of the same exact question that's being posed to you, and you just keep essentially running back to these concepts that no one can really understand when they try to unravel it. I'm still having difficulty understanding it. Is the trait human that you think makes it acceptable?
It is, but that wasn't what the initial thing was. The initial thing was me and Trump can have a different position on immigrants, and I don't lose the ability to criticize
You
him
keep
for
saying
that.
different and taking out the component that I think matters, which is morally relevant distinction.
Sure, we can have a morally relevant distinction on how to treat immigrants, and I can
To
criticize
whom? To yourself, right?
What do you mean?
You said we can have a morally relevant distinction, right?
Yes.
From your own view, right?
Sure.
I would ask your audience if you think that you're morally distinct from Trump because you drew the line at where moral value was lost simply because of the trait species. Again, I think if you were honest about the reductio that I gave you, which falls from the view that I took my little beep detector out and said Destiny is actually an android, that your audience would not want to kill and eat you by your own logic, but you would agree in order for, I'm sure, to maintain logical consistency that that's the case, right?
Not necessarily. That's a really complicated question.
Wait, no, but it would follow from the view. If the trait was actually genuinely what you just said, which was being human, then it would have to follow from your view. You should not know that. You should know that. This is just like when you spoke to Vegan Gains. You said you weren't sure, but you should be sure if that's your view.
Sure. So that's a totally different argument. We were focusing on the Trump thing. If you want to have
Okay,
a
I
general
think I
argument-
understand. I think I understand the premise of this guy's argument, which is that he's trying to get Destiny to accept that his beliefs shouldn't be pliable, and that he should be dead set in his belief system and understanding. I mean, I happen to think the opposite. I mean, I've done a lot of growing over the years, politically and morally. I mean, I used to steal a bunch when I was a teenager, and now I work 2 jobs, so that I have enough money to buy things. You know, it's just a change of what you consider moral, and if you are dead set in your ways, like it seems like this guy wants or is, he seems very set in his ways or his beliefs, and he wants Destiny to have a moral reason for his beliefs, which is not everybody does have a moral reason for your beliefs. Maybe if it's a moral situation, but and even then, sometimes not. Like, I mean, for instance, the Charlie Kirk situation. Like, we can all morally agree that murder and murder for the sake of silencing political opinion is wrong. It's like the most anti-American thing you can get. You know, it's terror. It's terrorism. You know, it's crazy. And but I didn't care about Charlie Kirk in any way emotionally. I wasn't attached to him. I still cried over in certain moments, and I still know people that were super, super attached to him, and it moved and affected them deeply, and it moved and affected me deeply in terms of like what it meant for America and what it meant uh, that things like this had come to this level. Um, but 10 years ago, I would have been like, this is, fuck Charlie Kirk. He deserved it, blah, 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 blah. I would have been a shitty teenager about it. But people need to be pliable in their opinions and their understanding of things in order for things to change. And I think this guy is trying to pin Destiny down on some kind of like solid connection between him and Trump.
I guess about veganism, that we can have like the general argument about
It's
veganism,
still,
but
no. It entails the concept of name the trait, but it still
no, name
reduces
the
down
trait is
to
a
it still
singular.
reduces down to Trump
No, so
because if
name
you
the trait
think
is a singular way by which we can try to expose a non-vegan's hypocrisy when it comes to veganism if we want.
not hypocrisy, logical inconsistency, or absurdity, and it seems like you're taking that
Whatever,
one.
sure,
Sure.
whatever you want to say. But the
broader question's about Trump, though.
Yeah. Even the comparisons to the slave-owning people before, I don't think were necessarily compelling. Like, even if a person, might have a bad view on slavery, we would still say there's a huge moral difference between a person's view on human life who wants to kill all humans or enslave all humans versus somebody who wants to enslave just a certain race of humans. The person who wants to enslave anyone, would you not recognize there's a difference between those two people?
Again, you keep saying
I'm gonna
difference.
ask
It's a
that
morally
over-
relevant
Is
distinction.
there a morally relevant distinction between those two people? Somebody wants to enslave all people, or somebody wants to enslave just one kind of person?
Of course. If there was a woman who was going to be raped and killed versus
yeah.
just killed, I would obviously choose one evil over the other. But
Sure,
that
so
moral
then
dilemma
why can't I make
doesn't
the
get
same
you out of
distinction?
that moral dilemma doesn't get you out of the base question, which you don't have to choose either.
What do you mean you don't have to choose either?
You don't have to choose either atrocity.
Sometimes
you
you
can
do,
denounce,
though, right? Like in an election, you have
Is
to.
that the context that's being asked of you?
Well, the context that was being
You
asked.
can't answer yes or no. I'm just going to say, is that the context that was originally being asked of you, or did you assume that?
I don't know. I don't know how this maps onto the concept. Originally, it seemed like the question.
Sure. So stripping mothers and children away
Yes.
for the context exactly as we do in regards to animals, which is just to eat them, or Trump actually at least has a better, on the book, superficial sounding reason because he's trying to protect America, but you're actually lower than that on
Okay,
that
there we
tier
go.
because you're talking about the
Then
concept
don't
of just
vote for
eating
me.
animals.
I guess if you care about veganism. I mean.
Wait, what's that?
Don't vote for me. I guess if you care about veganism. I don't.
That sounds exactly what Trump would do. He would use humor in order to deflect instead of actually defending.
I'm
his
not
position
using
logically.
humor to deflect. I think that you can have two people that are both
You
non-vegans.
just said don't vote for you,
You
right?
can have
Was
two
that your
people
position?
that are non-vegans, and you can have like a moral distinction between the two in the
You
positions
just said
they
you're
hold.
not joking,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. What?
Well, you just said don't vote for you on veganism. I think if Trump said don't vote for me on black rights, again, you've only proven my point that you are MAGA. You're succumbing to the same exact ideology underlyingly. That,
Okay, do you
guys,
think
that's
that-
not to say that he has the identical views that are held, but the underlying logic therein. And if you think that there's a morally relevant distinction, I implore you to actually think about it.
Okay.
Saying okay rhetorically and not going back to how you think you're morally distinct doesn't get you out of the point.
I've
does it?
already said how I'm morally distinct. You don't
You've
accept the answer
said
because
it,
you're.
but you have it. But every single time rhetorically, you've lost it because you're going up against.
No, I
someone who's
haven't lost it
philosophically
because you want to
competent.
have a further debate on like how to justify the position of veganism.
No, underlyingly, it comes back around to
Okay.
that if you think that there
So I'm
is
not
some
crazy.
distinction between humans and animals that makes it acceptable. But if your justification hinges on you being distinct from Trump because of that underlying distinction, that's not necessarily the same thing.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So the broader question is still, how do you morally distinguish yourself from Trump? Underlyingly, there's a premise of that if you can't name a morally relevant distinction between humans and animals, such that one atrocity of stripping mothers and children away in one context because of speech is acceptable, then
Okay, yeah, so that is the argument he's making. Ugh, I can't wrap my brain around that. So I can't debate people because that's crazy. Maybe not crazy. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't call people crazy. But that is interesting for sure. And I need to get rid of these motherfucking chatbots. Here,
yes,
I'll
you can
watch
go
that.
back to name the trade, but if you're just, the point is just that there's two separate questions. One's a question within a question with regards to name the trade. I just assumed, or not really assumed, but knew from what your public position was last on veganism that you said, you know, the trait was species, so on and so forth. You had a chance to name it again, but again, that doesn't sound like anything else Trump would or wouldn't say. It sounds exactly like what he would say. He would try to name say, oh, mothers and children are being stripped away. Well, you know, I mean, they're just another species. Don't vote for me when it comes to, you know, black rights or women's rights, Jew rights, any of these other rights.
Okay. I think I'm understanding what you're getting at. Okay. I'm going to try to rephrase your argument and tell me if this is what you're saying, okay? All right? Okay. I think you're trying to say that I have a position on veganism versus non-veganism. And part of this ultimately would reduce down to an argument related to name the trait. And my justification for killing animals versus not killing humans would be that I would name some trait that you would say that if you would explore through argumentation, you'd find this ultimately an arbitrary distinction.
No, not that I would think, that either you from your own view or anybody else can
Sure,
judge
anybody
it.
logically would say this. Okay.
What's that?
Anybody logically parsing the statements or anybody?
No, there's a big distinction there because you might just say, well, that's from your own vegan perspective. But if it hinges on the core values that you already have regarding human rights, and it starts from a human and says at what point is moral value lost, you don't get out of that by saying that I already value animals, because it doesn't start from that. It would be true of your own view that if you said, again, I took the little beat detector and found out that Destiny was an android, that would presumably be problematic from your own view.
I think I did it.
I mean, maybe. I don't know how we would resolve that. I mean, we can talk about that next.
You say maybe, but is the trait
hold on. You keep trying to. I'm just trying to understand your argument. Okay.
Okay, sure.
So it sounds like you're trying to say that I am using name the trait to draw a distinction between human and non-human, and I'm using that to justify why one is okay and one isn't okay. But that ultimately, if I were to explore that, I wouldn't be able to justify my arguments there. But that if we look at Trump, I'm trying to criticize Trump, and you're saying, well, your criticism of Trump is that he's essentially using like name the trait between immigrants and non-immigrants. Therefore, we're both powering our positions with the same type of argumentation. So how can I criticize one versus
Not the
other?
same. I don't know if same type of argumentation means the same underlying logic that attempts to make a distinction between.
Yes.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I understand your perspective when it comes to that. We would have to explore, I guess, the vegan side of the argument more. Do you think on I guess on a
by all
broader
means.
level, do you feel like there is a difference between those two types of people, or in your mind is every single non-vegan basically like incapable of logically criticizing like any other non-vegan's
No,
position?
that's a separate question, right? Being able to logically criticize somebody else that's worse than you is distinct from whether or not you succumb to the underlying logic of the other party in
Okay, but
question.
do you think that it might be that one party might be preferable even if they use the
No,
same
sure.
underlying
So
logic?
I can understand where, if I understand you correctly, you're trying to say, for example, can a pedophile judge Hitler? Of course they could. For example, somebody who's bad can judge somebody else who's worse, but still operate under some sort of disregard for the rights of other beings. That doesn't really get you out of the position in question. And so all I understand from you so far
Okay,
is
wait,
I'm very confused.
so then, just so we can establish, so I can criticize Trump, and I can say that one side, the Democrats, is preferable to the other side.
It was never a matter of if you could say that you could criticize
Well, sure,
Trump.
then we should be able to say yes,
you
then I
had a
can,
morally
right? I
relevant
can, right?
It's if you had a morally relevant distinction.
Okay, but I'm just we have some shared ground. Like we can say that one side is preferable to the other, even if both are non-vegan.
We've gone through the concept of moral dilemma.
The other, even if both are non-vegan.
We've gone through the concept of moral dilemmas, but this is a matter of moral sufficiency.
I understand that, but I'm just asking the question again. Can we say that we prefer one side over the other, even if both sides are non-vegan, because of other moral positions they might hold that might have some more relevance?
Saying that you have a preference is not the question, though, that was originally posed to you.
No, that's the question I'm asking right now.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Is this water available?
Yeah. Wait, did you drink it?
No.
Well, I mean, someone else has been drinking it, so.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
I am too dumb to understand this argument right now.
so what? Okay, so then rephrase. Catch me up. So what is our disagreement on right now? You're saying right now that I'm not able to criticize Trump's position on immigration because we don't have a morally relevant distinction between how I justify non-veganism and how he justifies.
You could say that's what caused you to be logically consistent, but it seems that it would make you absurd because you said the trait was species, but then you actually contradicted because you said you're not sure. So is it the trait species that distinguishes the two?
For me it is.
I mean, can't there be?
Why is it that difficult?
If we're talking about like a category.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, I mean, I care about the lives of cows and animals and stuff like that, but only to the point of there being, oh God, okay, shit. All right, I see how this can get difficult, but like, it's not there on the spectrum of suffering that I see in terms of suffering. See human suffering first, because if human suffering isn't solved, then nobody's suffering is solved, because we are the species on the planet that understands what's going on. No other species is going to get us out of it. So we got to figure our shit out first.
Category of actions that somebody's taking. There's like a category of actions that would probably be unacceptable against a certain category of thing. It seems like even if me and Trump disagree on how we arrive at a certain place, like we're both using kind of like name the trait. If you're going to say I'm using name the trait, we're both using name the trait to power different types of arguments. Like I feel like your criticism here would be more on the nose if Trump was using name the trait to just like kill illegal immigrants.
No, I'm not saying that the result of the action necessarily means that it's going to be, the removal of the right to life in those situations. That's why I analogize just the stripping away from mothers and children. There's a further problem, of course, of murder and so on, but I just think it's very interesting to focus on the specific concept as it pertains to what I've seen you be passionate about several times, which was human mothers and children be stripped away and then criticize Trump for it, but then not be able to say what the trait is. Again, you say it's species, but then you don't actually bite the bullet on that.
Well, I mean, I think I would bite the bullet on it, but we would have to explore the other hypothetical you gave more.
But when I took out the beep detector, found out that you were an android, you weren't even sure if you'd find it to be okay for you, by your own view, if you were to be killed and eaten.
Well, because I think it would significantly alter the understanding of what it means to be human, and it would probably significantly alter the understanding of what I even think of myself. Right?
Is that just to say yes, you'd be consistent on you being killed and eaten for food because we found out that you weren't human?
I don't know. We would have to explore what that means.
If you don't know, Destiny, respectfully, if you don't know, then it's not your position.
No, what it means is I have to think about it a little bit more before addressing.
But then the trait is not. But then the trait is not species if you're not sure about it. That's a contradiction.
I understand that you can say these words because you've ran down these arguments 50 trillion times in the vegan Discord server. Because Isaac and Vegan Games have trained you. What I'm saying is that like I'm not going to sit here and own.
You're trying to gain rhetorical ground.
No, hold on. I'm not gaining. Hold on. You've been screaming the entire conversation. Okay, chill. Okay.
Screaming?
Well, no, but you're like rattling off like all of the hardcore fucking debater vegan points like crazy.
There.
I don't know if I can at this point in time. I'm not prepared to have a hardcore debate.
Distinction with regards to the rights of life of humans and animals, so you can't make it just.
Well, no, I can make the moral distinction that I consider the life of humans to be life that should be protected, but I don't consider the life of animals to be protected.
That's just that's circular. So I'm wondering what the trait is.
Well, it's not circular. It's axiomatic. It's just foundational, right? I value human life. Some people value greater than human life, right? I don't know if you can justify that.
If you're trying to say it's irreducible and you have some sort of virtue that says that you just care about the species in question, right? Like it could be axiomatic, but it still has to be something true of the being in question. Because otherwise, if it was the same being and you had a difference of attitude, that would be contradictory. Like, how would you distinguish if you were blindfolded whether or not you would kill one set of being versus the other? You wouldn't just say it's axiomatic. There'd have to be something that was described.
Wait, I don't even understand what the purpose of that question is. That could be applied to two humans, and you might be able to not distinguish it if you're blindfolded. How does that?
With regards to whether or not you find it acceptable to take their life.
How could, if you're blindfolded, you don't even have the ability to gather enough?
You have the traits described to you. So if you just said it's axiomatic, and I said that, well, I don't know which being to kill by means of your own view, what do I do? And you just say, kill the one that's human. That's effectively just reducible to you saying it's because of their species. So that's going to reduce down to some thing.
Why does it have to reduce down to anything?
Because if you were talking about the same object and you had a difference of attitude, then it would be a contradiction. It's like
it doesn't have. Wait. Why can't a thing just be in the same category of objects? Like I can talk about two different things without having.
Oh man. Okay. So I am an idiot. I can't say as many big words as these people, but I can definitely see the same ending, which is like, why does it have to be so set in stone that one thing is this and one thing is that? Okay. Killing is bad. It really is. killing animals, I'm sure, is not great for karma. But at the moment, we kind of been doing it for a few thousand years. Okay? And like I get the whole vegan argument that it's not natural and that we need to protect and all life is precious, and yeah, I get it. I do. I'm not mad about that. And I even agree to some extent. But if you're going to place that next to the suffering of people, humans getting their children taken away from them, then I lose interest in the argument, because I do care about human life more than animal life. And it's not that I don't care about animal life or animals in general. But if you're going to put them on a pedestal and ask me to prioritize, if I'm alone, I mean, they're coming up with scenarios, so let's come up with some scenarios. If I'm alone and an Armageddon is happening, and I have the choice between bringing a bunch of animals with me on a boat to save, or bringing a bunch of people with me on a boat to save, I mean, assuming that there's a way to eat and survive, I would bring the people. Come on. We wouldn't even think about it. I mean, maybe this guy would.
To morally distinguish one category of human from another category of human.
If you were talking about the same context of the removal of rights, but you had a difference of attitude, or you claimed to have a difference of attitude, but you said that there was no morally relevant distinction between the two, that's the contradiction.
I don't understand how there could be a contradiction. I can have different human beings that are all human beings that have different categories of rights.
So say that there's two beings that are in front of you, and I ask you, which one would you find to be acceptable to kill? One's a human, one's a cow. And you just say you just value the one, not the other. It's going to beg the question of what about the being that would cause you to say that one has more value. It's going to beg the question, one's a cow. And I ask you,
different categories of rights.
So say that there's two beings that are in front of you, and I ask you, which one would you find to be acceptable to kill? One's a human.
The answer is neither. I wouldn't find it acceptable to kill either, unless we're under certain circumstances. Is the guy, is the other human, the other being, is he trying to steal the cow from me? Is the cow my only way to eat? I'll kill it. Or something, try to get him to not steal my cow. Is the cow sick? Or lame? Or can't be useful? And would otherwise die by itself? Is it slowing us down in a dangerous situation? These hypotheticals are weird because it assumes that you're okay with killing either of them for no reason at all. You need more information. You need more reason.
One's a cow. And you just say you just value the one, not the other. It's going to beg the question of what about the being that would cause you to say that one has more value.
The fact that one is a human and one isn't.
So the trait is species then.
Sure, yeah.
Belonging to the Hopi. You just said that it wasn't your trait, but again, if I took out the beep detector,
I never said that it wasn't. I never said that it wasn't my trait. I'm saying that I can still draw distinctions between two humans without having to say that. Without having to say that it's a contradiction, because I'm recognizing there might be different rights between two different humans.
No. The concept isn't if one has more or less moral value. It's with regards to, again, the same exact context of the removal of the moral value of the beings. So it's
okay.
Trump is not removing the moral value of any beings, though. I don't understand the comparison there.
Wait. He absolutely would be if he's. You just said it yourself.
No,
earlier,
this is
right?
the thing I was pointing out earlier. I was
undocumented. You said undocumented immigrant or people are having their rights removed, and that's not happening to people who are documented or.
Yeah, but they're not having all of their rights removed. Trump is still treating them as he would treat.
Did I analogize all the rights?
Yeah, yes, that was the distinction we were literally just talking about 2 seconds ago.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I clearly said with regards to stripping away children from their mothers.
Then what is your issue with what I just said 3 seconds earlier? So then we agree then Trump is not stripping away all of their rights, correct?
I didn't just say all their rights. I said with regards to the situations of where mothers are being.
He's not answering the question. He's just talking a lot.
Stripped away from their children.
Okay.
So I said 5,000 at the beginning.
Okay.
That happened
so
between.
back me up. So what is our disagreement then on this?
Your attempt to try to justify the distinction between yourself and Trump is apparently you're confused on if that's species or not. So I don't know how you really distinguish yourself from this guy that you're going on a whole anti-Trump.
So I don't understand how I can't say that Donald Trump doles out different sets of rights to different groups of humans that I don't agree with.
No, you keep saying you don't understand how you can't say something.
I don't understand.
That's
That's
a
not a
modal
morally
term.
relevant distinction between how Trump doles out rights to somebody and how I would dole out rights to
Wait,
somebody.
what was the first part?
I don't understand how we can't. There's not a morally relevant distinction between how the two of us assigned rights to different categories of people.
Do you think there is one?
Yeah.
Is it belong to the species?
Yeah. Yeah.
Human?
No, I don't think. No, not generally.
So then, what is the trait then?
Well, it would be like immigration status or nationality or skin color sometimes.
Yeah, so if somebody looked at Destiny and looked at Trump and said that the reason why you excluded one set of beings and he excluded one set of beings was because in his sense he said nationality, the arbitrarity of the moral value in question from one set of beings versus another, I think to any other being would say if they looked at the immigrants in question and said, oh, they found out tomorrow that they weren't actually belong to the species Homo sapien because the beep detector went off or their mind was transferred into another
We're not talking at the level of species though.
It would be if that's your justification. You said that's the thing that distinguishes you and Trump, such that if someone were to look at Destiny, they should view you morally distinct from Trump because this is how you draw your exclusion versus how he draws his exclusion.
Yeah, but I don't understand what the problem is there.
I'm sure you wouldn't, just like how a slave owner wouldn't understand what the problem is.
But the slave owner would see the
if it's axiomatic and it's irreducible to just not, like Nick Fuentes, like when Vegan Gains asked you, like, you just value white people with blue eyes. I mean, yeah, you just value that. But I highly doubt that, right? Because, again, when I made it very abundantly clear and said my beep detector went off and you're an android, you then got all, oh, I don't know if I would be okay with being killed and eaten for food.
Well, no, it would probably radically redefine how I would view that category of thing, so it's hard to imagine that thing.
Then it's not the case that it causes a reduction of moral value, is it?
Well,
So
nobody has ever been measured with a gene detector and been found to have not had human genes. So, I mean, like, it's
Wait, what?
Nobody's been measured with a gene beep detector.
That's a hypothetical denial.
No, what?
You said nobody's been measured with a gene detector, and I'm asking you if it were the case that they were.
If somebody asks me how many different, like, what different types of bathrooms should be in a theater, and I say
Okay,
male and female, and you say, so you believe that there are two genders, and I go, yes, so you would only have two bathrooms, and I go, yeah, and it's like, what if I had a gene detector or some magical thing, and now I found out that there were 10 genders, and I go, okay, well, then I guess I would have 10 bathrooms, and then you go, oh, so then you wouldn't have two bathrooms.
What is it you think I'm analogizing?
Well, you're saying that there's some beep detector, then I would find out that I am somehow not belonging to the species of human or whatever. That would radically probably redefine the way that I view that category, and so I would have to reconsider a lot of my, I guess, moral considerations for it.
So then you wouldn't name the trait belonging to the Homo sapien species then as
No,
the
I
reason
would
why.
because that's never been a thing that's been contradicted in the category
But you
of
can
Homo sapien
posit the
species.
thought experiment, just like how, again, if the black rights activist and I was in 1852
Just
along
because
with
I can
Frederick
posit
Douglass,
the thought experiment doesn't justify it in real life if the thing never actually comes to fruition.
those are the logical consequences of your view. If the white person's consciousness was transferred into the black person's consciousness and they were to say to me, well, that's not of the real world, this, that, or the other, and they tried to escape from it, or if the woman was to say it to the man, if the person who is exploiting Jews were to say, hey, don't put them in a concentration camp because of that, and they tried to run away from it because they said, well, it's not of the real world, guys. I know you love to posit that to your audience to reject hypotheticals.
But those things I don't reject hypotheticals.
You do. You just
honestly-
did. You said that doesn't happen in the real world.
I'm not rejecting your hypothetical. You're rejecting my answer to the hypothetical by saying I'm avoiding the hypothetical. You're telling me
how
that
am
if
I
you could
rejecting
scan a magical device on me, and it would show
See,
that I'm
that's
like
the rhetoric right there. You said magical device.
this would be
So
magical
did
device.
he. So did
What's the
you.
value
I'm sorry.
of saying
I'm
those
sorry.
words?
Beeper.
A scientific device that measures me, something that delivers.
How about you, instead of giving any cute words on the side, you actually
You
just
literally
engage with
called it a gene beeper, didn't you? What do you mean?
Is that the point of fixation with regards to
I'm
what's
not
being asked of
fixating
you?
on it. I was trying to get to the hypothetical.
This is exactly Trump antics.
Okay.
Hey, look,
This is
everybody, you're
vegan
gonna
server antics,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
okay,
you're only
it is.
making my point.
Ooh, I mean, it is. It really, really is. I'm
what I'm saying
already
is that if you
bored.
could measure me and it turns out that I belong to a totally different species, then that would probably radically alter the way that I view the category of human being. And so
And
if it
the
would-
you now, but the you now you're equivocating off of the point in time. I'm
Hold
asking
on,
the you
I'm
now.
going to finish this. When I say that beeper were to beep me and I were to be non-human, it would radically alter the way that I would define that category and view
Am
that
I
category.
asking that
and then
version
it
of
would
you or this?
probably, and then all of the morality that is entailed by my understanding of that category would also probably necessarily cascadingly change.
If I understand that correctly, you don't understand the hypothetical because I'm asking the you now, what your current preferences are. So if you were to look at that version of yourself, would it be okay? I'm not asking once the beep detector were to go off, would that version of you then change? You can think of it now. I can hypothesize, hey, later I'm going to go to the store.
Why couldn't we have
get
gotten there
cherry
like 20
versus
minutes
blueberry
ago?
soda.
He understood.
Like you can just pause at
what
the
was
hypothetical and
He's
imagine
just trying
that
to
version of
exhaust
yourself,
him.
But we're asking the current version of you.
Yeah, but the hypothetical to some extent is absurd because you're posing.
There we go. There's a hypothetical that I was waiting for. So go ahead.
Okay. I would say that my feelings of the hypothetical is absurd is because you're implying some abstract thing that can emerge from something that I would say is impossible for it to emerge from. It's like a logical impossibility.
So on what modality is it impossible? You said logical, right?
Yeah, that there's no way that a human being like me can emerge from something that is not like a human understanding of our DNA or whatever.
Wait. The impossibility is logical, you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm sorry. What's the claim that's specifically logically impossible?
That the abstraction of a human being emerges necessarily
the
from the
stream.
underlying genetic
We've
stuff
got a
that makes up
vegan
humans. However you want to define
debating
that.
I'm trying to understand. The abstraction of a human being emerges from what?
From our DNA.
So you're just trying to say you can't imagine an alternate being that looks like you but doesn't have human species?
I'm saying that it doesn't seem to be a thing that's part of that.
I'm not gonna
category.
lie, like this, I don't. Just a thought, but I can see watching this why people are more interested in the Charlie Kirks of the world because they actually were discussing the difference between including gun violence and gangs into gun violence or not, like something that actually mattered and was real and substantive. And these motherfuckers are talking about whether they're the same as Trump because they can't they can't morally they can't morally back up his at least belief and mine, because I believe the same thing, that humans are more important than animals, that human life is more important than animal life, and therefore you are the same as Trump, I guess, in terms of like separating people from their families. It's a weird logical hypothetical, and I don't really know how to wrap my brain around it except to say that, like, yeah, fuck them animals.
Human being.
If it comes if it's a human, let's say there's a zombie apocalypse happening and the choices between saving your dog and saving your mom, I mean,
Of the human, yeah. I mean, well, that's your trade,
I'm
right?
sure that's not a great comparison in terms of what they're talking about, but like, it's just
It's stipulated that
It
they
is.
don't have the species human. So, but your problem was that it was a logical impossibility. That doesn't encapsulate a logical impossibility if you can imagine the being.
No, but it would radically change the way that I would view that category, and there would be a bunch of other cascading effects that would come from that.
But Destiny, that's not a logical impossibility.
No, but it would. I'm just saying that.
But you just claimed it was.
Okay.
If you want to be not like Trump, can you at least concede that?
So it's not about being like Trump. The issue is that like
Wait,
because you guys.
so you can't.
So just okay. So I understand that you guys like to railroad everything down into like these like very 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 discrete like top logic ones. It's not respectfully. You're not capable of having. The reason why our earlier conversation was failing, by the way, is because you have this concept that you learned in the server called morally relevant distinction, and you cannot like fathom anything. That
No,
doesn't,
I understand
like,
it
cleanly
outside
and
of
no,
the
you didn't. You
server.
couldn't understand any. That's why I had to rephrase your argument like 5
Try it
times
again.
for us
Try
to
it
have
again,
some
try it
type of
again, rhetorical
conversation
ground.
with each
Go
other. But so the issue is that like if somebody were to tell me, would you ever recommend drinking radioactive poison? And I say, well, no, I don't think I would ever recommend that ever. And they're like, oh, really? Well, what if radioactive poison was sometimes healthy for you? Then I say, okay, well, then I guess that I would.
I'm not changing. No, I'm not changing the context. It's held constant. So
no, nothing is constant because in my mind right now, my being cannot emerge from a non-human DNA foundation. That's impossible.
You said if it were sometimes acceptable. Was that what analogous to what I said?
What do you mean?
You said in your analogy, you said, well, what if I told you that the radioactive poison It's unclear how any of this tracks, but if I could at least get one component that I think you're analogizing.
Wait, you can't understand
said,
you're
I'm
completely
trying to
unable to understand my analogy. It's
I'm
totally.
trying to.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only idiot in the room because like this this guy is just trying to make analogies that are adjacent to the actual issue at hand, and I mean when we try to do it we're idiots, but when he does it, cows and people. I don't know.
Understand? You said in your analogy, if someone were to say, what if this radioactive poison were to sometimes harm you? And I'm wondering how that tracks back to what I said.
Okay, what if the radioactive poison was actually always healthy for you? Was always good for you?
Okay, how is that that's an example. How does that track back to what I said? How does that plug in?
You really can't understand how it tracks back to what you said.
What specifically are you trying to analogize?
Okay, I'm going to restate my thing, and I'm going to let you figure it out, okay? I'm saying that if there is a thing, okay, there's a cup of radioactive poison, and when one of the properties of this is when you drink it, your body dissolves, okay? And I say you should never drink the radioactive poison. And if somebody says, oh, yeah, well, I, measure this thing, and actually, this radioactive poison, the stuff you call radioactive poison, this is actually okay for you to drink. So, like, now how do you feel about it? Well, my feelings about that thing would probably change radically, and all things that I define as, like, radioactive poison would change radically.
Sure. So I've heard you restate it, and since you want to play
that is what he's saying. He's going to say some shit like, oh, you want to play this game about, and I've heard you restate it. But, like, that's what he's asking. He's asking. And that's what he asked earlier. If I had some gene beeper, and I found out that you were an android, you weren't human, would it still be morally unacceptable to separate human mothers from their children? And he said, no, I imagine I would change my opinion on that drastically because now I'm an android. I don't give a shit about human life. And he said that makes him morally comparable to Trump in terms of like human separation, like mother and child separation at the border and stuff like that. And he is giving the example, Destiny is giving the example that like, yeah, if a change of situation happens, then a change of mind can happen. I love my dog. And I would take a bullet in most cases for my dog. I fucking love that fucking dog. I love her. But if my dog and my mom were hanging from a fucking rope and I could only cut one to save their life, I would save my mom. So I don't really get how that change of situation makes you morally. I mean, you've changed your morals, but that then means that you can't be judged on the same moral level that you were being judged of that other thing, because that other thing isn't not only not related, but B, not as morally corrupt as the other thing.
Game of natural language
Or
instead of actually
painful,
spelling it
anyway.
out clearly for me. I'm going to give it to you. You said that there's somebody who would drink a radioactive poison posed as a hypothetical. I don't see how there's anything analogous in terms of the logical components there. And then if you're talking about what I thought you were discussing, which was proving that this was somehow a logical impossibility or something that you couldn't answer or something like that, I didn't get that either from your hypothetical.
What?
Try to gain more rhetorical ground. It's okay.
I'm not trying to gain.
He keeps like trying to gain more rhetorical ground. Try to do that. Like he's setting him up to look like an asshole. Because this guy obviously has like he said, been on Discord debates and blah 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 blah. Fucking, spanks the monkey to videos of him owning people and shit. But it's like, it's not a debate if you are trying to gain the conversational ground over somebody. He's trying to battle it out when really he's not actively listening to what Destiny's saying.
Rhetorical ground. You're the one who's
Like, the reason why Destiny's skipping around and being like, is because he's trying to understand what the dude is saying because he's talking so fucking much. This dude is talking so fucking much that he can't understand what the fuck Destiny is saying, and so he really is the one that looks like an idiot. In my opinion.
using. This is the reason why nobody likes Isaac. By the way.
Also, he's a
right?
vegan,
Because of the way
so
you
I don't
guys
give-
did,
I don't
right?
give a
This is
fuck.
The problem is that you're trying to.
I was a vegan once or twice, and granted, I looked skinny and great, but everything smelled like feet.
Gain rhetorical ground by smashing
That man smells like feet.
prop logic and pretending that you're making any kind of coherent point.
You know what the
if
funny
the goal
part
is to just like smash
you know
the
what
prop
funny
logic and
part
do it, you
is?
can
Name
do
the
it.
trade is plastered
But
online.
no
Why
one
do
is
you
talking,
think?
No one is talking about name the trade right now. I know that you really are super eager to run down that
No,
line
no,
of
no.
thought,
I'm giving it
but
as an
nobody's
example.
trying-
I mean, you're just
I'm
trying
just
to cut me
what
off.
I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there is
You're
a
trying to
lot
cut me
to
off.
explore. I'm not trying. You literally just told me to try to win rhetorically, so I'm going to try to win rhetorically. Okay? You're trying to ask me a hypothetical, and you're saying that I'm refusing to engage with a hypothetical because I'm telling you the hypothetical entails more than a simple yes or no. If somebody were to scan somebody and show that, hey, this thing that you have this understanding of as being a human being can actually emerge from a totally different thing, well, then my understanding of that category and all of the things that I feel about it, moral, metaphysical, and everything else, those things would also probably radically change.
If you're saying I didn't give you enough context, then
no,
you
that's
should
not
say
at
that.
all what I just said.
You just said
I
you
didn't
would-
say that. I didn't say that at all.
So then what are you trying to say that's true?
Try, figure it out. What did I just say?
Destiny, this is condescending.
I agree.
What
All right,
specifically? What specifically, with regards to the hypothetical, are you posing as a problem? Because I'm
The problem is that
legitimately
I don't think
confused.
humans can emerge from non-human DNA. One necessarily entails the other.
Right, you said cannot. That's another
Yes.
modal term. Right. So do you think that's what I asked you?
Bro.
No.
So then you're not tracking the hypothetical.
I am tracking the hypothetical. I'm just saying
You
that
just said no, that's not what I asked you. And the whole audience laughed just a moment ago with regards to when you said the term condescending.
What I'm saying is
but
that if you were to
didn't- but
show
you didn't-
me-
You admitted you didn't track the hypothetical, so I'm going to give it back to you. I said if I took out a beep detector and found out that you were technically not human, you're telling me that you can't understand the concept behind it because of some sort of idea that the hypothetical I gave you is absurd, logically impossible. Whenever I unpack that, you didn't
No,
have an answer.
that's
I'm
not what he
saying I
said at
understand.
all. He said the reason is that he would change his mind because he's now an android and not a human.
concept behind it. I'm just saying that thing.
That's all that's required.
Okay, I'm saying that it would radically change my concept or understanding of that particular category, but it wouldn't necessarily change the way that
What
I engage with
category?
it. The category of human. Maybe instead, then I would split it into two categories of, oh, well, I guess there's maybe subdivision human A and subdivision human B. But these would still be part of the ontological category of human, so you haven't like
The
escaped
current
human
you now,
problem.
the current you now is making that decision. Then you're saying.
I'm saying that that could be possible. I don't know what the difference would be. I guess we would have to dive more into the distinction. But if you measure something and you find out that it's actually something that you didn't think it was, then I would have to reanalyze that category. I'd have to change the way that I view
But
it.
I'm asking the you now. So is it the trait belong to the species Homo sapien or not?
Right now it is, yes. But when I gave you
All
the
right,
word
final
Delphino-
thoughts,
wait, no,
Mr.
wait, hold on.
Vegan,
Hold on,
final
no, wait,
thoughts.
hold on. Okay. When somebody 10,000 years ago identified something as water, okay, and they identified a thing as water, and when somebody today identifies a thing as H2O, are they identifying the exact same thing? Do they both mean the same thing? Are they both saying the same thing?
Not necessarily.
How not? What's the difference?
If someone were to, well, from your hypothetical, if someone were to describe the same concept, but someone were to understand it differently, then no.
So two people, you bring them 10,000 years ago and a modern person. One person looks at a thing and they go, oh, that's water. And the other person goes, oh, that's H2O.
Okay.
Are they identifying and talking about the same thing?
Of course, yeah. If they point to the same exact object and say that they described it differently, but they're talking about the same thing.
Do they have? Could they not have a different understanding of the thing?
They
So, for instance,
could.
the guy who says something is water, maybe the other guy, and then you say, oh, well, water and H2O are the same thing, and then you identify it as H2O. Well, maybe
Wait,
it's not.
but it's not the same thing. This was originally about moral sufficiency, and I know that you've tried to take
No,
out
no,
the
hold on.
throttle
We're not at the moral sufficiency. I'm just saying that people.
that's
I'm
the thing
saying
to
that
compare.
just because we've refined our understanding of water doesn't mean that all of a sudden water doesn't exist, or water is the same thing as every other thing. Much the same that if you were to
But
put some kind of
Destiny,
detector on me and you were to show that
what do
human
you-
beings, or what I consider to be human beings, emerge from something that's not just human DNA, therefore species doesn't matter. Well, it might be that species matters, but there's like a further delineation that I would
When you
draw.
s-
Maybe, possibly. That could be the case.
When you say matters, that's relative to something, which was originally
Matters
what?
insofar as moral assignment goes.
You just said that's not what we were talking about. You said no, it's not about being
Not
moral.
about the water and the H2O
That is,
thing.
but
that's
that
the
is what the
distinction I'm saying.
discussion was, though. It
Yes,
was
but
about
if you would
moral
have put a
value.
beeper on, okay, so here's like a
Jesus
possibility.
fucking
Let's say you put a
Christ,
beeper
like
on
this
me,
guy
and
can't
you find
follow
out
it
that
on
like, oh
at
look,
all.
it's not human DNA, it's human B DNA. Then I would go, oh, okay.
What
well
do you
then-
mean by human B DNA?
I don't know. Whatever the beeper measures. What would the beeper measure?
That you're not belonging to the species Homo sapien. That's
What
the
the
only
species
trait
Homo
that you,
sapien is
that's the
that's
only
a
trait that you
category of
said-
stuff that can expand or shrink depending on how we define it, though.
Of course, but your trait that you said causes the morally relevant distinction where moral value is lost is just not belonging to the species Homo sapien.
Sure, but there could be greater subdivisions of the species Homo sapien if that's what you measure on a device.
Is that to say that if there was a non-Homo sapien belonging species that you found out you were, that you could possibly value it?
Well, it would be hard to imagine.
Is that yes?
It would be hard to imagine that.
You don't want to answer yes or no.
I mean, I guess yes, that could be the case.
So then it's not the case that necessarily belong to the species Homo sapien matters to you. You can say it's being subjectively similar, or you can say it's beings that are similar. You can name whatever trait or set of traits you want, but you're invited to think about it instead of just
I'm
jumping
not really
and naming
naming
a trait.
necessarily a trait. I'm naming like a category of things.
Is it a thing true of the being, of one set of beings versus another set of beings?
What does it mean by a thing true of?
A characteristic, a property about them. So if I look at humans, you recognize there's a set of characteristics or things true of them, right?
Sure, although I'm not.
It's not a gotcha. You're not signing off on anything
I
crazy.
don't trust him. I'm not worried about signing off on gotchas.
Oh, okay.
I think that I mean, like,
so
I think that
there's a set of things true of you, Destiny.
Sure,
right
there is
now.
a set of things that are called human beings. Yes, I think scientifically right now it's like Homo sapiens how we define that category of things.
Characteristics. Right. So those are
Okay.
all built off of characteristics.
Sure.
Okay. And so we'll re-explain this again. That the concept of animals have a set of things that are true of them as well. Right.
Sure.
Okay. So that means that you do understand the concept of traits, which is just to say things true of the two sets of beings. And again, name the trait is asking where moral value is lost between the two sets of beings. So when you say that the trait is belonging to the species Homo sapien, but I were to remove that thing that's true of the being, in this case you, because of the beep detector, then it would have to follow logically. It's not trying to pull a gotcha because I don't care about whether or not you succumb to that position. I would hope that you would actually be logically consistent and not absurd and say that you do have moral value still.
Yeah,
you're
but the
one who
problem is
named
you're trying to
that you
say
don't.
the mistake you're making is you're thinking that if you can show that the underlying property that I cared about is somehow different, that would necessarily explode that underlying property, or I never cared about that underlying property at all.
Wait,
when it might be
what
the
do you mean
fact
by
that there might
explode?
be, let me explain. There might have been some old person who says, I like to drink water, and water is important to me, but sometimes the water kills them because they're drinking salt water or something else that's poisonous. They go, okay, well, actually, no.
Just
It
we're
wasn't the
changing the
water. I'm
context
not
again.
changing the context. It wasn't the water that was important to you. It was the H2O that was important. You just hadn't identified that trait yet, right? So it could be the case that you could identify me as some different species or some finer thing or whatever that I wasn't aware of before, but that wouldn't necessarily say, oh, well, now I'm going to explode my concept of what moral value gets assigned to every single species that exists.
So when name the trait is posited to you, the context is held equal of the two things. So it's, for example, in the as you understand name the trait with regards to veganism, it's killing and eating one set of beings for food versus another. With regards to Trump, how I posed it, I said with regards to stripping away children from mothers in, of course, like an innocent context where, you know, they want to be with each other. So when you say, what I don't understand is when you go back to the radioactive point, where I lose you is in trying to track what.
I don't even think. How do me and Trump even have a distinction on the traits? What are we even talking about there?
Wait. Can I just get?
Actually, I don't even know if that
understand what the
distinction works because me and
radioactive
Trump
point-
still identify both as like being like moral humans or whatever. We just assign like
hold on.
different.
Can I understand what you're trying to say about the radioactive point? Because I don't even think I understood what
This is
your
not an
point
example that comes up in the vegan server. What do you guys normally argue on?
What are you talking about?
It sounds like if you haven't heard like a particular argument before, you can't fathom it. Like you can't follow any of my
I'm asking
analogies
what
or any
your
of my like.
particular view is.
What my particular, I explained it
No,
like 20 times. I'll
not
explain it again for
generically,
you. That's
not
okay.
generically.
Yeah.
That sounds.
what?
Wait, hold on. Please don't take advantage of the natural language that I'm defaulting to because I'm just nervous on stage.
I
Destiny.
think I'm
That
using.
sounds like
Oh
something Trump
my
I think I'm using
God.
natural language most up here.
He's instantly turning into a victim now because he's losing the argument because Destiny figured out that the comparison doesn't work, which duh. And so, dude, oh God, get this guy off stage.
You're the one that wants to keep harping back on like using
Get this
the.
guy
I'm
off
just
stage.
I'm just trying to make sure I actually understand you, and it doesn't seem like you're trying to understand me or help me to understand you.
Okay.
So back to the radioactive point. Thank you. Back to the radioactive point. What were you trying to specifically make a point about insofar as this context is concerned? Because if I ask you with regards to one context that's held equal, but the traits about them change, and you mentioned
Ooh.
radioactive.
I've got a comment. Gamer Jam. If a politician called for the government to round up every billionaire in season and redistribute all their assets, there would be unanimous bipartisan opposition. But when even worse is done to powerless communities, half the country cheers it on and the other half does nothing. I mean, yeah. Dude's got a point. That is pretty solid metal.
Content, and sometimes it hurts you, sometimes it doesn't. That doesn't sound like it tracks to what I'm, analogizing.
What I'm saying is that if I identify a human being as being this foundational trait that I think we all share, that
I mean, they did it when it happened to Trump. They're doing it. They're pissed off that we're going out, that we're trying to figure out who Jeffrey Epstein knew and was friends with. So it's like, yeah, I mean, you can't even look at the attention that the whole drama between two billionaires got, Trump and Musk. And I don't care what you hear. Trump is a billionaire now. He's gained enough money from lawsuits and shit that he's a billionaire. And they own our attention. They own the platforms. Where are we right now? If not on things that were created by billionaires or in some way or another. Trying to be billionaires ourselves, At least I am. I'm a broke old bitch. I'm trying to fucking retire.
we're all like the thing that gives us more consideration. And then you say, well, I just measured something, and it's that human being thing that you're valuing is actually not a human being thing, it's something else. Then what I would say is, well, I would probably change my definition of human being then to encompass whatever the new thing that you measured was.
So if you would change the trait from your current view, then that's not the trait. What is the trait?
It's not so much that I'm changing
or a set of traits.
It's not necessarily that I'm changing the trait. It's that the trait was a proxy for something different. Much the same that when people in the past say
That's just meant to mean the same thing.
What?
It's reducible. So if you said
but I don't know how reducible anything ultimately is. So the guy that says water might not think water is reducible to a molecule, but like in the future we might know that water is reducible.
Can I explain what I mean when I say reducible instead of it being so? Okay. So when you say you would change human because you would presumably find that hypothetical to be unpalatable to your own preferences, then what it sounds like you're saying is that you would consider.
This is where I come in because no, we're not. I mean, I definitely don't think the human species is going to make it till the sun dies, a couple million years or so. But this is doable. People have limits. You will start to see changes happening and in little ways here and there. It may not be enough, but I mean, look at what happened with oh fuck, I'm high, so let me remember. It was let's see.
Destiny 2.0 or that other version of you to still have moral value. So from
I cannot believe this guy is still on, actually. He's been on for far too long. Can we get somebody else? I'm already tired. I'm tired. Trump. I love that Trump invasion is the first thing that pops up. But maybe that's just my history. Trump. I don't know. That's a terrible description. I remember Ted Cruz talked about it. Ted Cruz. Oh yeah, it was
For more on a busy Monday evening, we are joined by Chair of the Senate Commerce Committee, Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, thanks so much for joining us, as always. We have a lot to get to. It is day 6 of the shutdown. Both sides are digging in. Any signs of progress at all?
Oh, wait.
Look.
This is not it. Damn it. They bamboozled me. Well, anyway, basically, the FCC was threatening to do this after the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing, do it to a bunch of others. And a bunch of others. I don't know what that fucking is. I hope that's nothing by and a bunch of others got really pissed off about it and was like, "This is like suppression of free speech," and like a bunch of Republicans got pissed off about it too. They all got pissed off at the FCC chair, but like, I mean, it was Trump and the FCC chair. You know, like the FCC chair knows what needs to be done, if you know what I mean. So, I don't think we're screwed because people aren't stupid. Not as it's not as black and white. Like really, the internet is not as it's not the whole world. There's a lot of people on Twitter. There's a lot of people on Facebook. There's a lot of people on Twitch, but it's not the whole world. Most people are not walking up to you in your day-to-day life being like, show me your papers, or who did you vote for, or anything like that. So we're fine. It's just super ideological clashes online that are like seeping out into the real world, and we just have to see it. I mean, after the whole Charlie Kirk thing, my whole job was just like calming everyone I knew down from like blaming people, just being like, chill, we don't know anything yet.
From your current perspective, you could just recognize that and say that it's not the trait belonging to Homo sapien, and just try to think and elaborate on it like you said you would.
Well, I would have to ask like what the differences are.
What differences are of what?
If you're measuring something and you're saying that the science detector is measuring something different, the question would the next question
Not
would be,
belonging
what's
to the species Homo sapien.
Yeah,
Because
but they
the
don't.
trait,
The,
as I
the
asked
science
you-
detector doesn't measure that, right?
Wait, what?
The science detector doesn't measure
No,
ontological
it's
categories.
stipulated. It's stipulated in my hypothetical that it would measure that.
Well, then it feels like you're almost begging the question. Like I don't think I can.
What do you mean?
Well, it seems like
what's
you're
circular?
The fact that you're necessarily like prohibiting me from answering the question in a way that is logically consistent because you're saying
There's a lot of weird language baked in. What do you mean by prohibiting? Because you're able to give whatever sort of answer you want.
Ooga booga.
Oh my god.
If you don't like the logical consequences of your view to justify that you would kill Destiny 2.0, all I'm going to say, Destiny, is you should really think about how that's probably because you actually are not like Trump. And I actually did have faith in you. I think you're a lot smarter than that. You don't have to be on the wrong side of history. But every day you wake up and you say, you know what, I could change my view. I could think about this further. You'd still be wealthy. You'd still be popular. You'd still have, all these things going for you. But unfortunately,
this guy has a personal
you just don't want to recognize what Isaac has pinned you on, what Regan Gaines have pinned you on. And that's philosophically. That's not in terms of combat. You could have a private discussion.
Okay, I'll get right on that, okay?
All right, I think we're going to move on now. Put your hands together. He had a really good run. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I am told our next debater is a hardcore Trump supporter. Please put your hands together for Hayden. Hayden, it's your turn.
Here we go. All right. Oh, Lord.
Nice and close to the mic. You can get right on that one. Yep.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm not entirely too sure I'm a hardcore Trump supporter. There's a few policies that I actually back, and it doesn't seem like there's too many actual Trump supporters here in Oregon. So,
And all of Oregon?
It's pretty light. I'll give you that.
Okay.
Nice and loud and close to the mic. Thank you.
My question for you is, do you think that the U.S. government should limit restriction or like have restrictions on dual citizenship holders within
For Israel?
employment? Oh, for sure.
Are you talking specifically in terms of like running for government?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't have a strong opinion on it. Like I could probably be persuaded.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where that argument ends. So like for instance, like in the strongest form of it, so if we imagine the president of the United States, as of the founding of the country and everything, right? The president of the United States has to be like a natural born citizen of the United States. They have to be born with citizenship, right? They can't be naturalized or obtain citizenship after birth. They have to be born a U.S. citizen, right?
Right.
Yeah. And my understanding is the rationale behind that is you don't want to have somebody who's has to make tough decisions as commander-in-chief, as leader of the free world, as leader of the United States, doing trade agreements when he has to like negotiate against his country of origin or something, right? That might be not good.
Right.
So like, would that logic carry over into like dual citizenship? Like I could see an argument for maybe that being the case. But then my question would be, like, does that only extend to the presidency? Because I'm pretty sure, for instance, you can be a not natural-born citizen, I know this, right, and be like governor of states, right? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? So, and I'm pretty sure you can be in Congress and you don't have to be like a born U.S. citizen. Like you can be a senator. So, yeah. So for just for president, maybe it wouldn't matter because I don't know if we would ever elect somebody that would have dual citizenship. I mean, maybe it would be something we have to explore more. But yeah. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So what about regarding like U.S. intelligence? And let's say we have dual citizenship holders that worked in prior foreign governments coming over and obtaining government positions. Would you say that there's probably, I don't know, like kind of special interest in there possible?
Yeah, for sure.
There might be, but I feel like that would have more to do with like jobs and places you're coming from, more so than like necessarily like having like dual citizenship or dual nationalities. Like if somebody worked like in the fucking Kremlin, like if they were like a government operative there, or somebody was like high up in the Mossad or something, and then they came and they were like occupying like high positions in the CIA or NSA. Like, should I say they'd be banned? Maybe not, but they would have to pass like a hell of a security screening, I think. But this is all going to be stuff that you're asked on like your SF-86 and everything anyway, because having like dual loyalty, or I shouldn't say dual loyalty, but having like connections to other countries are things that get you more scrutinized.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't think that there's going to be too much that we disagree on that one then. I'll give you one. Regarding the border, do you think that Trump's current administration has done a good job protecting our border?
Not that much, I think. I guess it depends on what we mean when we say protecting the border. I feel like when we're talking about the immigration stuff or the border, like when a Democrat is in office, I feel like we have a very broad understanding of what it means to protect the border, protect the country. One of those things being all of the illegal immigrants that are supposedly here. But I feel like when Trump came in, he did his executive order to curb illegal immigration, which is fine, but I feel like we haven't done much in terms of exporting all the illegal immigrants. And according to Trump, the number gets 5 million bigger every few months, but now we're up to 25 million people supposedly came in illegally under Biden. And if we don't have like a comprehensive way to address immigration issues, if we haven't done anything to address any of the real problems, and we're just kind of relying on EOs. Like if I was a conservative, I would be unsatisfied because I feel like the next Democrat president could come in and just undo his EO, and now we're back to square one.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I would definitely say that I don't think he's actually nearly reached, I would say, actual record deportations, or at least he hasn't impressed me entirely this go around.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think the big issue, and I feel like everyone should have this criticism of Trump, especially if you're a conservative. I think the big issue is that Trump's leadership is just very bad. So even if he wanted to get some things done, he's going about it like in the worst way possible. Like I feel like there's a world where Trump could have started deportations or approached deportations in a way rhetorically that would be really hard for even people on the left to oppose, right? And it would be like, it'd be politically popular. He would get a lot of photo ops. Like imagine, the idea of like, we're going to go through all of the felons and convicted like people in every state, all the convicted felons in every state. We're going to look for illegals in all the roles, and then we're going to deport these people. Like we're going to explicitly and specifically do this. Like it's a high number of deportations, probably low resource cost that people are already in jail and prison or whatever else, right? And then like on the left, like it's a harder thing to fight against.
Bored. I'm bored. I will pick that back up later. Ain't nobody got the time for that. Ain't nobody got the time for that. There's so many DJs on Twitch. Why are there so many DJs? Okay, let me change this. Cool. Cause I'm losing my patience with you. Loki, I need you to move. Well. Hello, 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 hello. Oh. Yeah. Sure. I don't know, man. I can't figure this shit out. Hello, 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 hello. No. Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Okay. I mean, as long as you guys can hear me, I guess that's all that matters. Hopefully. Because this shit is not picking up. Hello? Dude, this is some bullshit. Well, my mic works, so I can't tell why it's not working on the game itself. But I don't really have time to worry about it, I suppose. Dying Light. I want it. I hear it's not that great though. So, or no, I don't hear that one's not that great. I hear other things. Let's see. Hello? I am tired. I'm literally probably just gonna play one game. And then hopefully, oh, they can hear me. Okay, it just doesn't show up on the main screen. I'm an idiot. How's my mic sound? Is it too loud? Is it choppy? Oh, it's just me. Never mind. That's okay.
Choose heroes to ban.
I'm usually into band. Them folk right there. Hello to the new person in this.
Now arriving at Lijiang Tower.
You got to see me ass. I tried inviting someone to play, but...
You know what they say? Just go with the flow.
Okay.
If we do this right, they won't even know what happened.
Why do I play this game again? Probably gonna get tanked this time. Get water.
Select a map. Select your hero.
Oh, I got a healer again.
Choose hero bands.
No, don't ban. Alright. Tracer. Fuck. You ever just eat a pickle? Straight out the jar?
Now entering King's Row.
Damn. Yo. How are they just gonna block my people like that? Let my people go.
One small step at a time.
This looks like the best team in the solar system.
If anyone requires my assistance, please inform me.
Get into the field. Oh, a night mission brings back memories.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack commencing. Capture objective A.
God. So bad. Everybody's so happy about that.
I need healing. Come on, everyone! Dispatching here!
Team kill.
Do I have to go back out there?
I'm
claiming this objective.
Yeah.
Don't fail me. I'll be right behind you.
This is our objective now. Checking in. I'm on the objective.
Need a treatment? I need healing.
They scared.
That won't be enough to stop me.
I'm here to support.
Dodge this. 60 seconds remaining.
Oh my god.
60 seconds remaining.
I'm on the objective. Rally to my position.
Minor setbacks mean nothing.
I have eyes on the sniper.
Here I am.
90 seconds remaining.
Oh!
30 seconds remaining.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. Teach them the meaning of pain.
10 seconds.
I'm claiming
Stop
this
face
objective.
worse odds. It's not over yet. Avengers reporting.
You call it?
Overtime.
We do it.
Over here. Fire in the hole.
Escort the payload.
3, 2, 1.
Nice.
Objective lost.
I mean, always notice. I always get got by the bomb.
Ich sollte schnell zurück.
Fire bomb.
The way is clear. Moving the base.
Yeah.
How are you still moving?
Oh no.
Tear that down!
Bro, they're paying attention to our
Minor setbacks mean nothing. Let me fix you up. Boosting your damage.
Oh.
That won't be enough to stop me.
60 seconds remaining.
My senses are sharpened.
Dude, I swear to fuck. Ugh, let it end. Whatever. Let it end. Can't do it anymore.
The payload has reached the checkpoint.
I mean, whatever.
They'll regret
We
that.
must move with the payload.
I'll do it longer.
Over there. Time for a new plan. Watch here. Personne n'échappe à mon regard. No one can hide from my sight.
Is moving right along.
I'll teach them the meaning of pain.
Score 3-0. Switching sides. Prepare your defenses. Select your hero.
Don't fail me. I'll be right behind you.
I can't believe I fell for all that anti-omnic
Checking in.
claptrap.
Hey, Kiriko. Do you do a lot of office work?
No, why?
Because you always leave a paper trail.
Ugh.
I've high hopes for you.
You call 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Over there! I can fix that.
Brother? He gets trapped like that. Come.
Looking for attention. Do your work.
Time to let off some steam.
Feels good, huh? I'm Dinah Zeiss.
Over here.
I must return to my post.
I'm on
Nice.
fire.
Fucking hate this.
Ich sollte schnell zurück. Still watching over you. Keep an eye on you. Repairing the damage.
Take caution.
That won't be enough to stop me. Ladies and gentlemen,
So, tired, I want to go.
let's clear the point. Let the Kitsune guide you. Vengeance never dies.
Off, man. Compared to us, great. Look at that. 28,
I'll
26,
teach them the
25,
meaning of
28,
pain.
15, 5, 5, 4. Great. long time since
That
this
won't be
happened to me.
enough to stop me.
30 seconds remaining.
I killed one.
Time's running out. Let's keep our defense. Meteor strike!
Got it. What? What just happened?
Play of the game.
Like lending a shadow.
I don't know what just happened, but okay. Maybe it's like some kind of participation award or something. But all